Hey there, I'm Stacy, and I'm 37 years old. My husband, Eric, and I were throwing a party at our house to welcome back my brother-in-law, Uncle Isaac. He had just come home after spending 5 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Yep, you heard that right, prison. But before you jump to conclusions about him or our family, let me tell you, Isaac was innocent. He got caught up in something he had nothing to do with. It took 5 long years of legal battles to prove his innocence and set him free. So you can imagine how excited we all were to have him back with us. The party was buzzing, everyone having a great time. Isaac was in the spotlight, catching up with everyone and sharing stories from his time in prison. He had a special bond with my daughter, Wendy, who used to be really close to him before all this mess happened. Laughter and lively chats echoed through the house. The smell of yummy food filled the air as we all enjoyed a feast fit for royalty. It was a special time for our family, filled with happiness and togetherness, which made my heart feel warm. Once the party ended and everyone left, we were still buzzing with excitement. We were thankful to see Isaac back with us, alive, happy, and healthy after his unfair time in prison. Life went back to normal, and it felt like the drama in our family had calmed down, at least for a little while. But sadly, that happy feeling didn't last long. A couple of days after the party, I was sitting in the living room, lost in a book, when Wendy burst in looking scared and angry. I quickly put my book down and went to her side, worried about what had happened. "Wendy, what's the matter? You look really scared. Tell me what's going on," I said, my voice filled with worry. Tears were rolling down Wendy's cheeks as she struggled to catch her breath. "Mom, I found something. A camera. Hidden in one of my plants." My heart raced and I felt a surge of fear. A hidden camera in my daughter's room, it made my blood boil. But I had to stay calm for Wendy. We hurried to her room, my mind racing with questions. And there it was, tucked away among the leaves of her favorite plant. A tiny camera, invading her privacy. How long had it been there? I felt a mix of disgust, fear, and anger rising inside me. I wasted no time and called Eric right away, my voice shaky with a mix of feelings as I shared the shocking news. "Eric, you won't believe what I just found out. There's a hidden camera in Wendy's room. We need to act fast." Eric sounded both concerned and furious. "I'm coming over, Stacy. We're not going to let this slide. Our daughter deserves her privacy, and whoever did this will pay for it." While we waited for Eric, Wendy clung to me, her tears soaking my shirt. She blamed herself for not noticing the camera sooner, but I assured her it wasn't her fault. I promised to support her through this unsettling situation. When Eric arrived, his eyes reflected our emotions. Anger barely contained beneath a calm surface. We carefully examined the camera, searching for any clues that could lead us to the person responsible. It was a betrayal of trust that hurt deeply, and we were determined to uncover the truth. The invasion of our safe space shattered the feeling of security we had worked so hard to build for our family. We needed to take action quickly, not only to protect our daughter, but also to restore our peace of mind. If there was one hidden camera in Wendy's room, who knew how many more might be lurking elsewhere in our home? "Don't worry, Wendy. We won't stop until we find out who did this," I reassured her. "Thanks, Mom. Can I please nap in the guest room?" "I don't feel comfortable in mine right now, and I'm really tired," Wendy asked. "Of course, sweetheart. You do what you need to feel safe." "I'm so sorry this happened," I replied gently. Wendy headed to the guest room, likely wanting some time alone after her privacy had been violated. I couldn't shake off the feeling of malice. Who could do something like this? We decided to review the footage, gather any evidence we could find, and involve the authorities if necessary. Nobody messes with our family like this. Though I was shaken, I found comfort in knowing Eric and I were on the same page. We sat together in the quiet of our living room, the seriousness of the situation weighing heavily on us. Our minds raced, trying to figure out who could have planted the camera in Wendy's room. As we talked it through, one name kept coming up: Isaac. I broached the subject carefully, trying to keep my voice steady. The timing is hard to ignore. The camera was likely planted during the family gathering, and who had the opportunity? Isaac. "Stacy, you can't seriously think Isaac would do something like this. Yes, he's had his problems, but he's not a creep. He's my brother, for crying out loud," Eric protested. I understood Eric's reaction completely. Family bonds are strong, and suspecting a relative of such a violation feels almost unthinkable. But I couldn't ignore the clues that seemed to point towards Isaac's involvement during the family gathering. Gathering my thoughts, I spoke softly but firmly. Eric, I know it's tough to consider, but we have to face reality. Isaac spent a lot of time with Wendy at the gathering, which suggests he may have had some interest in her. Plus, he just got out of prison. People change, and their experiences can influence their actions. Our priority is to protect our daughter, even if it means questioning those closest to us. Eric looked weighed down by the situation, torn between loyalty and the evidence. Eventually, he nodded slowly, his voice filled with a mix of resignation and discomfort. I don't want to believe it, Stacy, but you're right. The timing and circumstances are hard to ignore. We have to find out the truth for Wendy's sake. The idea of confronting Isaac about the betrayal weighed heavily on our minds, but we knew it was necessary. The safety of our home and our daughter depended on it. As we brace ourselves for the tough conversation ahead, we promised to approach it with care and empathy. Finding the truth was crucial not just for our own peace, but to protect Wendy from any further harm. Days passed, and Eric struggled with conflicting feelings, loyalty to his brother versus the nagging suspicion in the back of his mind. The tension strained our relationship with Isaac and cast a shadow over our family as we grappled with uncertainty. A plan started to take shape in my mind. Risky, but it felt necessary to catch the culprit. I shared my idea with Eric, suggesting that hosting another family gathering could be the key to uncovering the truth. Think about it, Eric. Whoever planted that camera might try to retrieve it during another family event. This gathering, meant for bringing us together, could give us the chance to catch them in the act. Eric hesitated, still torn between his loyalty to his brother and the need to uncover the truth. But as I explained the urgency of our situation, he eventually agreed that we had to explore every option before getting the authorities involved. It was a tough choice, but necessary to protect our family and regain our sense of safety. I called Tina, Isaac's wife, to propose the idea of another family gathering. Hey Tina, we were thinking of having another family get-together. Are you and Isaac free to join us? Tina's response was surprisingly enthusiastic. She eagerly accepted, expressing her excitement for another gathering. It struck me as a bit odd, since she was usually more reserved, but I brushed it off, thinking she was just happy for family time. With the plans in motion, Eric and I focused on getting everything ready. Our home buzzed with anticipation and tension. We checked every corner for signs of intrusion, aiming to create a sense of normalcy while secretly preparing to catch the culprit. The stakes were high as the day of the gathering drew near, and our family's future hung in the balance. I felt a mix of nerves and determination. We were stepping into the unknown, but we were prepared to face whatever came our way to keep our daughter safe and our home secure. When the day arrived, our home filled with familiar faces once more. Excitement buzzed in the air, but underneath tension simmered. Uncle Isaac, ever charming, greeted everyone warmly, but Eric and I couldn't shake our suspicions. They loomed over us, casting a shadow on the festivities. To ensure Wendy's safety, we made the tough call to keep her away from the gathering, arranging a sleepover with a friend without revealing our concerns. With her gone, our focus sharpened, and we kept a watchful eye on anyone near her room. As the party started, laughter and chatter masked our true intentions. Eric and I played the part of hosts while secretly watching for any suspicious behavior. Our detective skills were in full swing. As the night went on, the music and dancing created a lively atmosphere, masking our true intentions. But amidst the celebration, I couldn't ignore Tina's strange behavior. She kept excusing herself, rushing off to the bathroom with an unusual urgency. My instincts kicked in, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Driven by curiosity, I decided to approach her. When Tina headed towards the bathroom once more, I followed quietly, my heart racing. But instead of going inside, she turned and entered Wendy's room. Panic surged through me. I knew I had to confront her, to uncover the truth behind her actions. Stepping forward, I called out her name, my voice tinged with both accusation and concern. Tina, what are you doing in Wendy's room? Startled, Tina spun around, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. But there was no escaping the truth. The tension between us thickened, heavy with unspoken accusations. I asked you a question, Tina. What are you doing in my daughter's room? Tina's facade cracked, tears welling in her eyes. Her voice shook as she said, "I was just looking for Wendy. I was surprised she wasn't with us for the party." "You were going through her drawers," I pointed out, my tone unwavering. Tina looked down, realizing her hands were still in the drawer she'd been searching. I can explain." "Save it." The person we least expected, the one we had staunchly defended, had betrayed our trust. The room swirled with a whirlwind of disbelief and disappointment. I motioned for Eric to join me, and he rushed over, assuming we had caught Isaac in Wendy's room. But his expression turned to shock when he saw it was Tina. "You planted that camera, didn't you? Why, Tina? Why would you do something like this?" Eric demanded, his voice laced with anger and pain. Without hesitation, Eric called Isaac over to Wendy's room, his tone firm and commanding. Isaac, sensing the urgency, quickly joined us, confusion written all over his face. As Isaac stepped into the room, his gaze fell on Tina, tears streaming down her cheeks. Before anyone could say another word, Eric quietly closed the door, shielding the rest of the party from the unfolding drama. Taking a deep breath, I steadied my voice as I began to explain everything. I recounted the shocking discovery of the camera in Wendy's room, the invasion of their privacy that had shattered their trust. My words hung heavy in the air, the truth weighing down the room. "We planned this gathering, Isaac, to catch whoever planted the camera. And to be honest, we initially suspected you." "Bro, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have doubted you, especially after everything with prison," Eric interjected, his voice filled with regret. "But it was mostly me who accused you, Isaac. I'm truly sorry. After finding Tina here, I realized you weren't involved." Isaac's brows furrowed, confusion clouding his expression as he looked between Stacy, Eric, and Tina. He turned to Tina, seeking answers. "Tina, why were you in Wendy's room? What's going on?" "We caught Tina going through Wendy's things. She's the one who planted the camera. Now that everyone's here, Tina, you need to explain yourself. Why would you do something like this?" Tina's eyes darted around the room, searching for support, but Isaac's shock mirrored the confusion in the room. He couldn't understand why Tina would do something so invasive, especially to her own family. Okay, you got me. Yes, I planted the camera in Wendy's room. I was just coming to take it back." "We already know that. We caught you. We want to know why," Eric pressed. "Because I'm jealous, okay," Tina blurted out. Tina's confession hung heavy in the air, exposing her jealousy for all to see. She admitted, with a mix of shame and frustration, that her actions were driven by envy towards Wendy. She had noticed Isaac and Wendy talking a lot during the last family gathering, and it sparked jealousy within her. She questioned what made Wendy so special, what drew Isaac's attention and affection towards her. Isaac felt the need to defend himself, his voice tinged with defensiveness and genuine concern. "Tina, you know I care about Wendy, but not in a weird way. Being her uncle is important to me. I was just checking on her, making sure she was okay. It was out of love and family concern, nothing strange." "But why were you always praising Wendy? It made me wonder what was so great about her," Tina countered, her jealousy still evident. "So you're upset because I'm proud of being an uncle?" "Tina, is there something wrong with being proud of my niece? I have every right to support and appreciate Wendy. It's not about playing favorites, it's just genuine love for family." "I didn't expect you to react like this." Trying to navigate the emotions in the room, I turned to Tina. "What were you hoping to find by planting the camera? What did you think you'd uncover?" "I just wanted to see how Wendy lives, you know. Maybe if I understood her better and acted like her, I could get the same attention from you, Isaac. I wanted to feel valued like she is." "You're acting crazy, Tina. Jealous of a teenager. That's messed up," Isaac snapped, his frustration evident. After an awkward silence that could rival a library, Eric decided to end the party. "Good call," I agreed. "The last thing we need is to keep partying after discovering Tina's true colors. The resident creep of the year." Once the relatives were gone, it was just Eric and me left to deal with the fallout of Tina's actions. And let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. I unleashed a verbal storm on Tina, making a sailor blush. I mean, who does that? Who plants a camera in their niece's room? Sick, that's who. Isaac looked lost, disappointment written all over his face. I guess he couldn't believe what his wife had done. Can't say I blame him. I'd be equally stunned if my partner turned out to be a lunatic. As the dust settled and our emotions ran dry, Eric and I found ourselves sitting in our once cheerful home, now tainted by one family member's sinister acts. The next day, when Wendy returned, it fell to me to break the news to expose the twisted truth. Tears filled Wendy's eyes as I recounted the violation of her privacy. The poor girl, innocent and unsuspecting, couldn't believe someone in our own family could do something so awful. Mom, I never imagined this could happen, especially from Tina. Seriously. Wendy's disbelief mirrored my own. I shook my head, struggling to comprehend it myself. I know it's hard to believe. Tina's really crossed a line. With Wendy in my arms, her tears staining my shoulder, I made her a promise. We were going to fight back. Pressing charges was just the beginning. Tina needed a reality check, and we were ready to give it to her. Her tearful eyes met mine, seeking reassurance. But Mom, how is Uncle Isaac doing? I sighed, the weight of our shattered family hanging heavily in the air. Honestly, he's struggling. It's hard for him to celebrate his freedom knowing he's married to someone who's acted so terribly. So, are they getting a divorce? I don't know, sweetheart. I hate what she's done to us. Me too. But right now, our priority is your safety. We're getting a restraining order against Tina so she won't come near you again. We're pressing charges and getting a restraining order against Tina, the one with the camera, and the bond between Isaac and our family, it's strained, shattered by this betrayal. There's an awkward silence between us, a reminder of how far jealousy can go, but we're determined to rebuild and find comfort in those who truly care. The road ahead might be tough, but we're ready to face it. Our family's love will help us through. Hey everyone, I'm Sandra and I'm 28 years old. I live in Houston, Texas, but I'm getting ready to move soon. I was in a really bad marriage for a year and a half, but I got out of it with the help of my dad and the police. It was my fault though. I got myself into that mess. If I had been smarter, I might have said no to getting married. I've always been a shy and quiet girl. I didn't really enjoy hanging out with people. Most of the time, I just stay on my computer, lost in the online world. Sometimes I'd go to pubs for a drink, but I'd get uncomfortable when strangers tried to befriend me. I'd always turn them down because they were strangers, and I worried they might try to harm me. When I was 6, my mom passed away because she had a heart problem that wasn't treated. After that, my dad took care of me. He's been a sailor since he was 23, going on long trips exploring the sea. I really missed him when he was away. He used to send letters to my mom and try calling her whenever he could. But when my mom died, he came back to be with me. He found me crying a lot next to her coffin. He picked me up and tried to comfort me. Hey, my little girl, did you miss me? You've grown so much. Papa. Hey there, Dove. It's okay now. Daddy's here. Everything will be okay. I promise. All right. Even though he said that, I kept crying in his arms, holding onto his uniform tightly. My dad gently patted my back and hummed my favorite lullaby until I fell asleep. Later that night, I saw him sitting alone on the couch, drinking. He looked really sad. He kept saying things to himself, then buried his face in a cushion and started crying. It was the second time I'd ever seen him cry. The first was when I fell off a slide and got hurt. Maybe he blamed himself for everything that happened. He took a break from work for 2 months before leaving again. Before he left me with my grandma, who took care of me while he was away. Be good to Granny, okay? She's here for you. You'll be a good girl and help her out. And you? I'll be back soon, my dove. I asked Granny to teach you how to bake your favorite treats and cook your favorite meals. Will you learn from her? Yes, Dad, I will. Next time I come back, I'd love to taste your dishes. But for now, I have to go. My car's waiting. You take care of yourself, honey. He left. I knew he'd be back in about 6 months. He often sent me gifts and little souvenirs from the places he visited. Most of the time, I stayed indoors and helped Grandma with her chores. I didn't really like playing with other kids. As I got older, I relied more and more on the comfort of my room. Eventually, my dad sent me back to our old house. I really disliked going to college and interacting with people. The internet gave me confidence that the outside world couldn't. It's exciting and comforting to talk to people I might never meet in person. I can share my thoughts and feelings without worrying about being judged for being shy. Through the screen, I found friends who truly get me. I've met people from all over the world with different backgrounds and experiences. Learning about their lives is fascinating, and it shows how alike we all are, despite our differences. The internet connects us across continents, bringing us together in ways we couldn't have imagined before. There, I met a guy named Ricky. He said he was a streamer. We started chatting, then moved on to video calls. I often wore a Batman mask to hide my identity, and he covered his face with a scarf and wore a beanie. Hi Sandra, it's great to finally see you. Hello Rick, nice to meet you, well virtually. Same here. So how are you feeling today? How many people have you chatted with? I'm okay, just a little nervous to be honest. That's totally normal. But don't worry, I'm not scary. I'm just as awkward as you. This is our first real chat. So Rick, tell me more about yourself. How did you get into this online platform? Well, I really enjoy meeting new people and seeing things from different angles. I tend to spend a lot of time at home, so this online community seemed like a great way to connect with others. How about you? I'm pretty much your typical introvert, so I struggle a bit with socializing in person. Online platforms give me a sense of ease and let me be more open. I get it. Virtual connections can be surprisingly meaningful. I'm glad we found each other. We talked for a while, discovering shared interests and swapping stories about our lives. As the conversation flowed, I started feeling more relaxed. It's funny, I never expected to feel so comfortable talking to someone online. Thanks for making it easy. The feeling's mutual, Sandra. You're great to talk to, and I'm happy we connected. If you ever want to chat again, just give me a shout. I'm usually online playing Mario. Oh, forgot to ask, do you play games? Actually, no, I mostly blog and browse Reddit. There's so much interesting stuff there. I feel like I learn more from other people's stories than from real-life examples. Totally. Sometimes real life can be a drag. It's cool to meet new people. Like, look at me. I trust my online friends more than the ones I know in person. The best part about online stuff is you don't have to feel pressure to keep in touch. You can take it or leave it. It's up to you. As Ricky and I kept talking, we formed a real bond despite being strangers online. Our shared understanding and open-mindedness made us feel like friends beyond the screen. I'm not sure where this connection will take me, but one thing is for sure, my online experiences have shaped who I am. As I go through life, I'll always carry the lessons I've learned from my digital world with me. My dad, on the other hand, is very cautious. If he knew I was making friends online, he'd be really mad. Last time he talked to me, he sat me down and lectured me during dinner. How are your studies, Dove? I've graduated. Well, you wouldn't know. You weren't there. Oh, Sandra, that's not good. I know I was really busy, and I'm sorry for missing out. I even emailed you saying I'd be there for your birthday. Tomorrow's my pumpkin's birthday. Stop calling me names. I'm not a little kid anymore. To me, you'll always be my little Dove. Anyway, what are your plans for the future? Are you thinking of working? I'm not sure yet. What do you mean you're not sure? What are your friends up to these days? I don't have any friends. What? Listen, I didn't send you to your mom's place so you could just stay home and not interact with the world. There's so much out there, so many people you'll miss out on if you don't get out there, honey. That's the problem, Dad. I don't really know how, but I'll try. I mean, I do have friends, but they're all online. Online? Sandra, that's not the best way to make friends. Oh, come on. All right, fine. How about we go out today? Maybe do a little shopping, just you and me. I haven't been out much lately, but I don't know if I can. Of course you can, Sandra. You have to try. This isn't a healthy way to live. I understand ever since Marissa passed away, you've... Why are you bringing Mom into this? What are you trying to say? I'm not trying to say anything, honey. I'm just saying that we need to find ways to move forward from past hurts. We both love your mom, but we need to learn to move on. I don't know why, but I got really angry. I slammed the table and stood up. I didn't even want to finish my food. I took my plates to the sink. Sandra, please don't give your father that attitude. I was just trying to help you. Why can't you see that? You don't know everything about me, so don't try to. I was so angry. I went online to find Rick. At first, Ricky seemed like a nice person, understanding and willing to listen. It felt good to have someone to talk to, especially about the frustrations I've been dealing with. As an introvert, I always found comfort at home, with my computer screen as my companion. While others went out into the world, I preferred the safety of my virtual haven, where I could be myself without the pressure of face-to-face interactions. Lately, my dad had been pushing me more and more, especially since I told him how much time I spent online. I knew this would happen, he just didn't understand. He thought staying in my room all the time would hold me back from growing and learning. He wanted me to step out of my comfort zone, and that scared me. I vented my frustrations to Ricky, hoping he'd understand what I was going through. Hey Sandra, do you want to meet up? We're both introverts, so we can go somewhere quiet, with not too many people. I know a place like that. I'm not sure. It feels really sudden. I need some time to think. I just wanted to let you know what's been going on. Okay, no problem. I can wait. Whenever you're ready, you're always welcome to come by. Here's my address. Why are you being so nice to me? I'm just a stranger, aren't I? Because I like you. Like me, really? Yeah, I know it might sound strange, but I really want to get to know you. And if you ever feel the same, you know where to find me. It was a big step for me, stepping out into the real world. My heart was racing with excitement and nerves as I stood outside Rick's house, finally ready to meet the person I'd been talking to online for the past month. Surprisingly, he lived really close to me, just a 20-minute drive or so. I took a deep breath, gathering my courage before knocking on the weathered wooden door. It creaked open, and there was Rick with a warm smile that instantly calmed my nerves. He was quite charming. His house might not have been fancy at first glance, but there was something cozy about it. It felt authentic and welcoming. As I stepped inside, I couldn't help but notice the small details that spoke volumes about Ricky's character. The bookshelves filled with well-loved classics, the stack of board games, his computer setup, and so on. Welcome, welcome to my humble abode. Your presence graces my domain, fair master. Some gaming talk I might not fully grasp, but thank you. This is a really cozy place. Do you live alone? Nope, fair princess. I live with my mom. She stays downstairs, while I have the top floor all to myself. Come, I'll give you a tour. We spent the day talking, laughing, and getting to know each other even better. Meeting in person added a new dimension to our connection, and I grew to appreciate the person behind the screen even more. Rick was just as kind and genuine as I had hoped, and his quirky sense of humor only made me like him more. As the sun set, Rick suggested we take a walk outside, and I agreed eagerly. As we strolled through the nearby park, our conversation flowed effortlessly, and my initial nervousness melted away. Being with him in person felt like a natural extension of our online chats, but with a deeper level of closeness. Wait, so you didn't celebrate your birthday? No, I didn't really feel like it, especially after the argument with my dad. I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm sure he'll come around. He's your dad after all. I made a mistake. I trusted him too much. His words seemed sweet like honey, but I didn't realize I was just another one of his games. When we started dating, he became overly possessive and jealous. He always wanted me to talk to him on the phone or online. If I tried to chat with anyone else, he'd get angry. He kept saying he loved me and wanted to protect me. I believed him. Why did I believe him? As our relationship got stronger, it became clear that his mom didn't approve of me. It was tough to know she felt that way about me, someone she hadn't even met. Her disapproval weighed on me, and I couldn't understand why she couldn't see the love we had. Rick's close relationship with his mom was obvious, and he often called himself a mama's boy. While I respected their bond, it also made me feel distant. I knew family was important to him, but I felt like an outsider dealing with his mom's disapproval. The strangest thing was that his mother kind of wanted us to get married. She knew I didn't have anyone else in the world since my dad wasn't around. Maybe she thought I'd be useful to her. Not every parent is perfect. Just look at your dad. At least my mom cares about me. Please, Rick, when you talk like that, it really hurts. But you know I'm the one who loves you, right? Your dad doesn't love you like I do. So stop complaining about my life and try to compromise. We ended up having a secret wedding. Ricky didn't want me to invite my dad, saying he'd never approve. He managed to make me believe that my dad didn't care about me. I went along with it and got married to him quietly. I knew it was risky, but I was weak. You can call me weak, but my environment shaped me, and I blamed myself for not standing up for myself. After a few months of being married, I began to see a side of his mother I never expected, one filled with cruelty and malice. She seemed to enjoy making me suffer, deliberately making me doubt myself and leaving me feeling shattered and defeated. It started with small comments and passive-aggressive remarks, slowly wearing down my confidence. I tried to ignore it, hoping her disapproval would go away over time. But instead, it only got worse, turning into a constant stream of emotional abuse. "What is this? Is this supposed to be food? You think my son can eat this mess? Go and make it again, you idiot. Why is this place so dirty? Are you blind? What a sloppy girl. Get up, lazy girl. Take out the trash now. Honestly, have your parents taught you nothing?" Her words were like daggers, leaving wounds that cut deep into my soul. She questioned every move I made, belittled my accomplishments, and manipulated situations to make me feel unworthy of Ricky's love. Meanwhile, my husband stayed in his room, lost in his music or video games. It felt like I was trapped in a never-ending nightmare, unable to escape her grip. Inside, I was filled with rage. I blamed myself for being so weak and stupid. How could I let myself be treated like this? I missed my dad terribly. I regretted our fights and pushing him away. I yelled at him to leave me alone, and with a heavy heart, he did a few days after my birthday. Now, I felt stuck and believed I deserved every bit of it. One day, feeling unwell and feverish, I curled up on the sofa, hoping a nap would help. Just as I was about to doze off, I was jolted awake by a sudden splash of cold water. It was Ally with a disgusted look on her face. "What the hell are you doing sleeping on our couch? Did you get our groceries like I told you to?" I didn't respond. "I see. You want your old mother-in-law to do all the dirty work while you just lay around, you devil." She slapped me and started calling for Ricky. I couldn't take it anymore. I snapped. "I'm not doing anything for you or your useless son. I've had enough of your. Go bother someone else. I can't and I won't take it anymore." I didn't receive an ounce of respect from this family, and I didn't care anymore. As I was about to leave, something blunt hit the back of my head, and I blacked out. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in a dimly lit room. My head throbbed with pain, and I struggled to stand up. Where was I? I could hear faint sounds approaching, growing louder as they neared. Crawling towards the noise, I found a metal door with a small window. It opened, revealing Ricky's grinning face. "Is my wife scared of the dark? What is this, Ricky? Please let me out. This isn't funny." "Shut up. This is what you get for disrespecting my mother. Now I'll make sure you never see the light of day again." "Please, Ricky, I'm sorry. I'll do anything. I promise I won't complain. Please let me out, I beg you." "Not so fast, Buttercup. If you behave, I might consider letting you out. For now, this will be your little hideout. It's not like you enjoy going out anyway. And who do you have? Your mom is gone. Your dad doesn't care about you. You're just a forgotten soul. My house gave you a chance to start over, but you blew it. I'll make it right. I didn't mean to upset you, Ricky. Please let me out. I hate being in the dark." "Daddy's girl, huh? Why don't you call out to him? Maybe he'll magically appear and rescue his princess." He closed the window and left. As I sat in the cold, dark basement, fear and anger consumed me. How did things get to this point? All I did was stand up for myself against my mother-in-law's unfair treatment, and now I was paying the price. As I reached into my pockets, I felt my broken and shattered phone. I lost all hope. But then, I noticed a faint blinking light on the screen. I still had a chance to call my dad. With trembling hands and tears streaming down my face, I dialed his number. My voice shook as I told him what had happened, desperately hoping he could somehow rescue me from this nightmare. 2 days later, when I was barely hanging on and despair threatened to overwhelm me, I heard a car pull up outside the house. My heart raced as I strained to hear footsteps coming down the stairs. When the door swung open and I saw my father standing tall and resolute, a wave of relief and disbelief washed over me. I couldn't believe he had dropped everything to come save me. He had brought some cops with him. Rick and Allie were arrested on the spot. They tried to lie, but it was futile. "You have no idea what you'll face in court, you psychopaths. What have you done to my little girl?" "We are truly sorry. We never meant any harm. I was planning to let her go today, I swear," Rick pleaded. "And who are you to decide my daughter's fate? You're nothing but a pathetic scumbag from the gutter. All right, Sandra, let's go." As my dad led me out of that dark basement, I felt a newfound sense of strength and determination. The ordeal had been incredibly tough, but it showed me that I could overcome anything with my dad's unwavering support. From that moment on, I promised myself to stand up for myself and never let anyone silence me again. I hope Ricky and his mom rot in jail. I'm planning to move to New Orleans with my dad. Texas doesn't feel safe anymore, and I'll make sure to never trust online strangers again. Lesson learned. My husband surprised me by saying I should go back to my parents' house because my parents are already living in our house. I felt shocked by his sudden words, but he seemed to think he was being reasonable. He said, "Do you have a problem with that? Don't argue with me. I'm fine with divorcing you if you do." Lately he had been distant and unkind, and I had my own complaints. I had been thinking about divorcing him too, but I didn't think it was fair for him to kick me out of our home. I thought to myself, I'm the one paying $1,800 for our expenses. Does he even remember that? As I looked at him in shock, he got angry and said, "Leave this house now. My parents won't feel good if you're here." I didn't really get why I had to go, but I said, "Okay, I'll take all my stuff with me." Once I agreed, he seemed happy and said, "Then do it," and walked away. Right away, I called a shop to sell my things. My name's Emily, and I live with my husband, Robert, who's 5 years older than me. We met through mutual friends, and our first hangout turned into spending the whole day together. Robert mentioned he wanted to be a voice actor, and I was impressed by his deep voice. I've always liked soothing voices, so I felt drawn to him. It seemed like he felt the same because we exchanged numbers and decided to hang out more. Before we knew it, we were dating, even though we never really talked about it. I had just graduated from college and started working, so dating someone more mature seemed exciting. My friend Ashley was worried about the 5-year age gap, but I reassured her that it wasn't a big deal. I liked Robert a lot, and he felt the same about me, so I wasn't concerned. Eventually, Ashley agreed, trusting my judgment. Robert and I dated for about 3 years, and then he brought up the idea of getting married. I had already told my parents about him and his age, so they were excited to meet him. With their expectations in mind, I often wondered when he would propose. He ended up proposing during one of his usual visits to my apartment, where we just hang out and relax. It wasn't the most romantic setting, but it felt like something Robert would do, and I was okay with that. When he asked, I simply said, "Sure, let's get married." So maybe we were both a little casual about it. After that, we visited each other's parents, but I didn't really connect with Robert's parents. When we went to Robert's family home, it was filled with what looked like old-fashioned items, but they seemed to be fake. When we met Robert's parents, they were wearing expensive clothes and lots of flashy jewelry. They seemed like they were trying too hard to look rich. Our tastes and values were very different, and I didn't think we would get along. Robert's mom even made a rude comment about my appearance, which hurt my feelings. I was surprised that the parents of the man I wanted to marry acted like this. But in the end, it's Robert and I who are getting married. If I don't like his parents, I don't have to spend much time with them. So I decided not to let it bother me too much. After we got married and moved into our condo, Robert seemed worried about something. "Hey, who was that woman in the blue dress at our wedding?" "Which woman in a blue dress?" There were a few guests at our wedding who wore blue, so I couldn't figure out who he was talking about based on that alone. "You know, the one who gave a speech as your best friend." "Are you talking about Ashley?" "Yes, she was wearing a blue dress." When Robert said this, he seemed a bit uneasy. "What's wrong with Ashley?" I asked, confused by his reaction. "Oh, it's not a big deal. The other day, I thought I saw someone who looked like her when I was going to work. That's when I remembered she gave a speech as your best friend at the wedding." I was confused by Robert's sudden interest in Ashley and his flustered demeanor, but he just laughed it off and went to his room before I could ask more. A little while later, Ashley called me with some news. "Listen, Emily, my boyfriend's coming back to the US next year." Ashley had been dating her boyfriend since high school. They'd known each other since elementary school, but he moved away in middle school. They kept in touch through letters and finally reunited in high school when he confessed his feelings for her. I always loved hearing Ashley's love stories. Despite her boyfriend being away working at an international branch for a few years, they stayed close and communicated regularly. "Do you think he might propose once he's back, and then you guys will get married?" "Oh, Emily, you're always jumping to conclusions. Just make sure to invite me to the wedding. I promise I'll give a heartfelt speech." "Of course. After the beautiful speech you gave at your wedding, I'll definitely need you to do the same for mine." Don't set the bar too high. We chuckled together as we sipped our tea. Our conversations flowed easily, and we trusted each other completely. Whenever one of us had a problem, the other was always there, ready to lend a listening ear. Around this time, I began to notice that Robert was coming home later and later. Working late again today. Yeah, you think I shouldn't work or something. Even after we got married, Robert held onto his dream of becoming a voice actor. He was working hard to pursue his passion, but it meant he had to take on part-time jobs to make ends meet. Unfortunately, all the money he earned from those jobs went straight into his voice acting classes, so I had to cover all our living expenses. This meant we couldn't really save up together. As time went on, I realized that Robert wasn't willing to give up on his dream for the sake of our family. I started to worry about how much overtime Robert was putting in at his part-time job. It added to my concerns about our financial situation. Hey, haven't you been working too much lately? They shouldn't be making you do so much overtime, even if it's just a part-time job. I told you I'm fine. More money is always better. Just keep your opinions to yourself. By then, Robert had stopped using my name and just called me you. When we got married, I thought he would speak to me kindly and more often, but it seemed like harsh words were all I heard from him. His once gentle voice had turned rough, and he started drinking a lot. Sometimes his voice even sounded hoarse, which worried me because voice acting requires a healthy throat. But it seemed like he didn't want to hear about it. He started avoiding talking to me, and eventually he would ignore me even when we were in the same room. That's when Ashley called me. She said she had something important to discuss. So I suggested we meet up since I had my own worries. We decided to meet at a karaoke booth so we could talk privately. Ashley seemed really cautious and picked a room where she could see the counter and staff from the door. You chose this room specifically? Yes, I wanted a spot where the staff could see if there was a suspicious person outside our door. A suspicious person? Is that related to what you wanted to discuss? Ashley nodded in response to my question. She had been feeling like someone was following her ever since she left her job about a month ago. Now, she even felt followed on her days off. The reason she chose a room where the staff could easily see was that she thought the person stalking her might try to eavesdrop on our conversation. Did you talk to the police about it? I tried, but since there's no actual contact, they can't do much. What about your boyfriend? He's coming back in a month. I thought I'd discuss it with him too, but I wanted to first talk to you, someone close by. I see. Ashley hadn't gotten a good look at her stalker because she was too scared, so she didn't know if it was a man or a woman. I decided to keep an eye out from a distance to identify the person stalking her, and through that, I came to understand who it was. Though I couldn't bring myself to discuss my troubled relationship with Robert, looking back, maybe it was for the best, because the one following my best friend Ashley was none other than my husband Robert. He would claim he had to work late every day, but after his shift, he would hang around near Ashley's workplace and follow her when she left. I couldn't believe that the person scaring Ashley was someone so close to me. When I found out, I was shocked, and the expression on Robert's face as he followed Ashley was chilling. He had this creepy, unsettling grin. I fell in love with and married this man, but the moment I saw his true face, the love I thought would last forever turned cold. I told Ashley the truth and urged her to move right away. With the help of her colleagues, she arranged for someone to drive her from the underground parking lot to her new place for a while. After we took these precautions, Robert's frustration grew, and one day, it boiled over. My parents are going to live here, so you need to go back to your parents' house. I was shocked by Robert's sudden demand, but he seemed convinced he was being reasonable. If you have a problem with that, then I'm fine with divorcing you, he said, starting to lose his temper. Even though I had my own issues with him and had considered divorce, I didn't think he could just kick me out of our home. I'm the one paying $1,800 for our monthly expenses. I wonder if Robert even remembers that. When I gave him a skeptical look, he got angry. Just leave already. My parents can't move in if you're still here. Why do I have to leave? I don't understand at all. But I said, okay, I'll take everything I bought with me. Seeing me agree, Robert just told me to hurry up and walked away. I immediately contacted a local buyback service. The next day, they came to our apartment. At first, Robert smirked, thinking I was leaving. But when he saw the workers assessing all our furniture and appliances, his eyes widened in shock. After the evaluation was done, except for what was in Robert's room. A staff member handed me a quote, saying, "The total value is $22,000. I quickly signed, saying, "Okay, sell it all." Suddenly, Robert snapped back to reality and grabbed my arm. "Why are you selling everything? My parents are going to live here. How can they if there's no furniture?" I shook off his grip. "What do you mean? When we got married, you told me you were broke because you were paying for your acting classes. You asked me to handle the rent, furniture, and living expenses. I never knew you were that broke. I feel deceived. Remember the $1,800 I've been covering every month? From now on, you'll pay that. And with your parents moving in, I bet it'll be even more." Robert went pale, but he quickly tried to regain his composure. "You thought talking about money would make me cancel the divorce? Who do you think you are?" "I've already gotten close to a rich lady," he said, striking a pose. But then I remembered Robert following Ashley recently. If what he considered getting close was his stalking behavior, then he was seriously deluded. Ashley came from a wealthy family. Her grandfather was a businessman, and now her father had taken over. Ashley truly was the perfect heiress, but she didn't flaunt it. She spent money like me and our friends, and no one judged her based on her family's wealth. However, Robert seemed to have found out about Ashley's wealthy background and decided she'd be a better match. Could he possibly think that if two people are the same age, the wealthier one is better? That infuriated me. But Ashley would never marry Robert. Her high school boyfriend, whom she'd been dating for years, was coming back to the States soon. They would likely get married. I mentioned how Ashley felt really creeped out because someone had been stalking her every day. When Robert heard that Ashley found him creepy and that they weren't close, he was shocked. "I always walked Ashley home," he said. "You're lucky I didn't call the police," I replied. "But I didn't know she had a boyfriend. He's been away. She'd pick me over someone she doesn't know. They've been writing letters since they were kids and talk almost every day. And unlike you, who's only had part-time jobs, her boyfriend is successful. Even her dad likes him." Robert looked really sad when I said all that. But when the people came to take away our stuff, he seemed to feel better. "I guess you're all I've got now. You'll always support my dream of being a voice actor, won't you?" he asked, trying to look cool. I gave him a cold stare and said sorry. "I've already started divorce proceedings. Let's talk through our lawyers from now on." Robert, maybe thinking I still liked him, held on to me. "Don't say that. Haven't we been getting along all this time?" "Getting along? When? Since you found out my best friend Ashley is rich, you've been distant and hanging out with her." "Right after we got married, I realized I made a mistake." Robert started crying, even though he's older than me. Seeing him cry like a kid made me like him even less. I couldn't stand being near him anymore. "Stop it." "Oh, I also told your uncle we're getting divorced." "Your uncle? You know he's tough, right?" "Well, I've been paying all the rent and bills until now. When I told your uncle I might leave, he said he'd make you work for him. That means I can't keep studying voice acting. You hardly practice anyway. Maybe it's time to face reality. And if you go near Ashley again, I'll call the police. Goodbye." I left, determined not to turn back. For now, I'll stay with my parents, but I might move closer to work if I find a good place. As for Robert, his uncle made him work at his company just like he said he would. Then Robert's parents, who were planning to live off him after he married Ashley, also moved in. They all ended up working for the uncle. It seems like taking advantage of people runs in their family. I'm just glad I got away from that toxic situation. Age doesn't matter much, but I'll be more careful choosing my next partner. On a brighter note, after things settled with Robert, Ashley invited me to her wedding. She introduced me to her long-term boyfriend, and I truly wish them happiness. My marriage didn't work out, but I hope Ashley's lasts a long time. "Go away," said my mother-in-law, Catherine, in a very unfriendly way. When my husband got a job overseas, Catherine decided I couldn't stay in the house anymore, so my daughter and I had to leave. We didn't have anywhere else to go, so I went to the park, holding my 2-year-old daughter, feeling confused and lost about what to do next. Suddenly, police officers surrounded me. "Please come to the station," one of the officers said. It was raining heavily, and I was cold and shaking. I followed the officer to the police station. When I got there, someone unexpected was waiting for me. "My name's Emma, and I'm going to be 35 this year. I met my husband Bob at work, and after a year of dating, we got married. When we got married, I stopped working, and 2 years ago, our daughter Lily was born. Right now, I live with Bob, Lily, and my mother-in-law, Catherine. We used to rent a place, but after Catherine's husband passed away and she started having trouble with her knees, we decided to all live together and bought a new apartment. We thought about buying a house, but because Catherine's knees aren't so good, we figured it'd be better to live somewhere near public transportation. Buying an apartment was cheaper than a house back then, and it has an elevator, which makes things easier for us. Catherine also liked the idea of the apartment, so we put some money down and got a loan that will pay off over 35 years. Bob's job often involves traveling or moving to different places, but after we bought the house, we were told he wouldn't have to relocate anytime soon. However, he still travels a lot for work, about once a week to other states. Having a 2-year-old daughter, I feel really stressed when Bob goes away on these trips. At first, Catherine, my mother-in-law, was helpful, but now she doesn't pitch in with taking care of Lily at all. Instead, she makes more work for me. For example, she leaves dirty dishes lying around after eating, and she doesn't even bother to rinse cooking utensils, which makes them really hard to clean later. Even when I ask her to at least rinse them, she just says sorry and promises to do better next time, but she doesn't follow through. I noticed something strange recently. She rinses the dishes when Bob is around, but not when it's just me. At first, I thought it was okay since she sometimes rinsed them, but now I think she's doing it on purpose to make things difficult for me. It's not just about the dishes either. Sometimes she'll ask if I need anything from the store, and when I say no, she'll later say she actually did need something after I've already come back. This happens a lot. Considering Catherine's knee problems, I try my best to help her with moving around, but my willingness to assist has been decreasing over time. Catherine's behavior started not long after we all started living together, and it's been happening for years now. When I talked to a friend about it, she said, "That sounds like she's bullying you. Why don't you talk to Bob? I think he might help." But I worried that if I talked to Bob about it, Catherine, who doesn't have any other family, might end up in a care facility. So I thought it might be best for me to just put up with it. However, one day, something happened that made me reconsider. That day, I was planning to drop Lily off at my parents' house. They always enjoyed having Lily over and suggested I stay the night too. I wanted to, but I felt uneasy about leaving Catherine alone at home. So after a short chat with my parents, I decided to head back to the apartment where Catherine was waiting. When I got there, I realized I had left my keys at home, which left me feeling worried. But then I remembered that Catherine was home, so I decided to ring the intercom to get inside. I pressed the button and waited for her to answer, but there was no response. I wondered if she had gone out, so I waited outside for a while. But even after waiting for about 2 hours, Catherine didn't come back. It was getting dark, and I was getting worried. Just as it was getting dark, another resident returned, and I followed them inside when they unlocked the main entrance. I was sure Catherine was at home because she rarely went out at night. So I pressed the intercom button outside our apartment, but still there was no answer. I waited by the door for a while, and then I heard a faint sound from inside, which meant Catherine was there. I tried the intercom a few more times, but Catherine didn't come out. Feeling defeated, I decided to stay at a nearby motel for the night. I planned to go back home when Bob returned from his business trip. When I told Bob what happened with Catherine locking me out, he was understandably upset. But Catherine just brushed it off, saying she might not have heard me because of her age. I could tell she was smirking though. I was relieved to be back inside and grabbed my keys to pick up Lily from my parents' house. After talking to my parents about what happened, they offered me comfort and told me I could always come back to stay with them if things got too tough. Their words brought tears to my eyes, but I quickly wiped them away before heading home with Lily. For a while, things were okay with Catherine, but then, unexpectedly, Bob's transfer to another country became permanent. He asked me what I thought about it, but I couldn't give him an immediate answer. Considering the potential stress it could cause Lily, I decided it would be best for her and me to stay in the U.S. Soon after we decided I and Lily would stay in the U.S. while Bob went to Europe, he had to leave. He was worried about us, but he was so busy with work that he didn't have much time to think about it. So it was just me, Lily, and Catherine at home. But as expected, things went downhill with Catherine once Bob left. On a stormy day, when it was unsafe to go outside, Catherine dropped a bombshell on me. She suggested that Lily and I should move out now that Bob was gone. Excuse me, what do you mean? I asked, shocked. Just what I said. I think it would be better if you and Lily found somewhere else to live. I'll take care of things here. I just don't feel comfortable with strangers in the house. It would be best if you left right away, Catherine said. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I've always tried to make living together with Catherine as good as possible. I've treated her like family even though we're not related. But to Catherine, it seemed like Lily and I didn't matter much at all. I was thinking about going back to my parents' house when Catherine suddenly said, "Why don't you just leave already?" Before I knew it, Lily and I were kicked out of our own home, just as we were, without even a chance to gather our things. No matter how hard I knocked on the door, Catherine wouldn't let us back in. I felt lost and confused. I carried Lily through the pouring rain to a nearby park. There was a shelter there that I hoped would keep us dry from the rain. Ideally, I would have gone to a motel or gone back to my parents' place. But I had left my wallet and phone inside the house. I felt helpless as I sat in the park, trying to figure out what to do next. I'm not sure how much time passed as the rain poured down. I was exhausted and cold, and I started to doze off. It was dark already, and even though it was summer, the cold was harsh, and I worried that Lily and I might get sick. As bad as things were, it seemed like the only option was to walk to my parents' house, even though it would take about 3 hours. As I was thinking about what to do next, I noticed 2 lights coming closer through the rain. They turned out to be police officers. I thought they might be able to help us, but before I could approach them, one of the officers called out to me, "Are you Emma? And is this little one Lily?" I was surprised they knew our names but replied, "Yes, that's us." Then the officer said, "Please come to the station with us." I wondered why they wanted us to go to the police station. If something was wrong, urged by the officer, Lily and I got into the patrol car. We were freezing from being out in the rain for so long, but the officers had brought big towels for us. "You might need these. We've got some spare clothes for you at the station," they said kindly. Curious about why they knew about us and why we were going to the police station, I asked, "How did you know where to find us?" They replied, "We'll explain everything once we're back at the station. For now, just try to relax." Exhausted, I soon fell asleep and woke up to find we had arrived at the police station. As I followed the officers into the police station, I was surprised to see Catherine and my uncle there. "Uncle, what are you doing here?" I asked. He explained, "Bob got in touch with me. He thought you might be having problems with his mom, and since he's overseas, he asked me to keep an eye on things for him." According to my uncle, Bob had talked to him about this before. He said Bob wanted him to keep an eye on things since he couldn't be there himself. My uncle had seen us in the rain earlier today. He had thought about taking us in himself, but he thought Catherine's behavior was too extreme, so he reported it to the police. That's how the officers knew where to find us. Catherine had also been asked to come to the police station. She sat on a sofa, glaring at me, seeming confused about why she was there. "Why do I have to be here? My knee hurts, you know." If Bob were here, none of this would be happening, Catherine argued. But the whole situation had come about because Bob had asked my uncle for help. In the discussions with the police, it seemed like there could be legal implications to the events. So I was advised to think about hiring a lawyer. "An attorney? That seems like a big step." "I just locked the door, nothing more," Catherine protested. But my uncle intervened, pointing out that what she did was serious. Throwing me and a little child out in heavy rain isn't something that can be easily forgiven. He also clarified that I was actually the rightful owner of the house. Catherine was surprised, insisting that Bob, as the head of the household, should be the owner. But she was mistaken. My uncle, who works in real estate, had helped us get a great deal on a condo, and Bob had suggested putting it under my name. I hadn't thought much of it at the time, but now I was grateful I followed Bob's advice. Following my uncle's guidance, I decided to hire a lawyer. The lawyer explained that it would be tough to evict Catherine, so the best option might be to place her in a care facility. I immediately called Bob to update him. He hadn't expected things to escalate like this and said he wanted to come back from Japan to sort it out properly. He also mentioned that he was considering putting Catherine in a facility, unaware of the current situation. Despite being at the police station, Catherine seemed unconcerned as she casually snacked on some crackers. Since I couldn't go back home with her, I decided to stay at my parents' place until Bob returned. He was due back in a week, giving me time to figure out our next steps. If Bob didn't support me, divorce seemed like the only option. I regretted not seeking advice sooner. A week later, Bob returned from Europe and was at the house with Catherine. So I moved back home from my parents' place. Bob had to go back to Europe soon, so we needed to talk about what to do next. I heard some things from Emma's uncle. Is all of that true? Bob asked Catherine. It's all lies. I haven't done anything. Emma's plotting something to evict me. Catherine stubbornly denied any wrongdoing and accused me of scheming against her. Bob, who I thought would support me, seemed to be considering Catherine's side. I see. So do you have any evidence to prove Emma's plotting something? Bob asked Catherine. Evidence? No, of course not, she replied. Then Bob turned to me, asking, Emma, do you have any evidence? I hesitated, admitting, to be honest, I've been so busy with work I haven't been able to keep an eye on things. I'm not sure who to believe. I handed Bob a voice recorder I had with me. What's this? He asked. It contained recordings of Catherine's hurtful words and actions, capturing moments when she not only kicked me out but also often insulted me. When Bob played it, he heard Catherine saying awful things like, "You're such a worthless wife. I wonder why he even married you." Catherine quickly tried to defend herself, claiming it was taken out of context and just a one-time thing. But as the recordings played on, it became clear that her verbal abuse was a pattern, not just a one-off incident. Bob's hand trembled with tension and anger as he listened to the recordings. Catherine looked guilty as the truth sank in. Mom, what is this about? Bob demanded an explanation, but Catherine stayed silent. If you won't answer, then I have to believe this is all true. And if it is, I need to protect Emma and Lily. You understand that, right? Bob's anger was evident, something I hadn't seen in all our years together. Catherine, seeing this side of Bob for the first time, looked frightened and couldn't say a word. After many discussions before Bob's return to Europe, I made it clear that I couldn't continue living with Catherine, especially with Lily around. Bob seemed to agree, leaning towards placing Catherine in a care facility. However, Catherine strongly opposed this, making the discussions complicated. Despite her objections, I decided to sell the house. So you can't stay here anymore. If you don't want to go to the facility, you'll need to find somewhere else to live, Bob told Catherine. She resisted the idea of selling the house, but it was necessary for our plans. Lily and I had decided to move to Europe. Bob regretted not being more present for his family and wanted to be there for us moving forward. Although I was unsure about living abroad, knowing Bob would be with us made me feel better. Plus, it would be good for Lily to experience life in Europe at her young age. Selling the condo, which still had a mortgage, was our only option. If we didn't sell it, Catherine would have to cover the mortgage, which she couldn't afford on her fixed income. Considering her future, it was important for someone to be there to assist her. Despite our efforts, Catherine refused to move into a facility, so we had to forcefully place her there. I'm sorry, but I have to head back to Europe. Could you take care of any procedures needed here? Bob asked before leaving. With help from others, I managed to finalize Catherine's admission into the facility. The staff at the facility kept me updated on Catherine's condition, but it seems she's struggling. It would be one thing if she was just feeling down, but she's been causing trouble for the staff and other residents. Before leaving for Europe, I visited her to check on her. But she lashed out at me, saying, "Why have you locked me up in this place?" She also complained to the staff about the food, the beds, and the other residents. When I apologized to the staff, they were understanding. "It's okay," one of them reassured me. "We're used to this kind of behavior. Just leave it to us. We'll keep you updated, and if anything happens, we'll let you know. So don't worry." Despite all the harassment I endured from Catherine when we lived together, I couldn't help but feel worried as I headed to Europe. Upon arriving in Paris, Bob met me at the airport and we went to the apartment we had rented. They say rents in Paris are higher than in Texas. But since Bob's company gives him a housing allowance, we were lucky to find a spacious and affordable place. The neighbors in our building are very friendly and have been kind to me, even though I don't speak French fluently. Just yesterday, a neighbor shared some wine and cheese with me. In return, I gave them some mac and cheese. I'm gradually learning French along with my daughter, Lily. I know there's a limit to self-study, so I've also enrolled in a language school. There are many Americans there, many of whom, like me, are new to France. I've made some friends and I'm really enjoying my life in Paris. Back in the States, I always had to worry about Catherine, which often prevented me from fully enjoying outings with friends. But here, I can indulge in leisurely lunches just the way I like. The only concern right now is Lily. She's still too young for kindergarten, as kids here usually start the year they turn 5. I hope she picks up enough French by then. Fortunately, Lily seems to be catching on pretty quickly. I'm thinking of getting a job once Lily starts preschool. Bob says he's okay with me staying at home, but living in Paris has made me want to explore more opportunities. Seeing how ambitious and confident people are here has ignited something within me. I've become friends with a waitress at a nearby cafe, and she hinted that there might be a job opportunity for me there. The cafe is popular not only among the American community but also with many locals who are learning English. There might be challenges ahead, but since coming to France, Bob and I have been communicating much better. I feel more confident in expressing my feelings, and I believe that no matter what happens, we'll face it as a family. Right now, I feel happier than I've ever been in my life. I'm staying over tonight. Can you make room for all of us? Wait a minute. I already told you, I have plans to go see a play tonight, and it'll be late when I get back. That's why I said we'd all stay here. When her son wasn't home, his mom showed up unexpectedly with 7 friends. I hadn't been told about this visit and I had my own plans, so I tried to say no. But you'll be back soon, right? We'll just leave our stuff here and go out for a while. Could you get dinner ready and set up places for us to sleep? She acted like she didn't care about my situation and acted as if everything was already arranged. To make things worse, I noticed the necklace she was wearing. I had put up with her rude behavior for a long time without saying anything, but this was too much. I can't. I'm leaving for a trip right now. What? You're going on a trip? Who's going with you? My unexpected refusal surprised her. I had finally reached my breaking point after enduring her constant nagging. Please give me back that necklace. It was time for my mother-in-law to face the consequences of her actions. My name is Michelle Gorman, and I'm a 30-year-old housewife. After I got married, I used my experience in administration to become a computer class instructor. My husband, Mike, is busy every day as the president of his father's company. Sometimes he seems lost in thought, but it makes me happy to see him relaxed, especially when we go on our favorite movie dates. I feel better when I'm with you, he often says. I'm glad if I can make his life a little easier. I wish I could offer him advice or suggestions, but I've always found it hard to speak up. Since I was young, I've preferred listening to others rather than talking about myself. My older brother, who's 4 years older than me, has always looked out for me. I used to dislike that about myself, but thanks to Mike's support, I've started to gain some confidence. Mike has an older brother who works as the vice president in their father's company. His wife, Mindy, is around my age, and we get along great. She's focused on her career, reliable, and kind. I admire how she stands up for herself and shares her opinions, yet she's also understanding and flexible. Watching her stand up to the mother-in-law was really impressive. Unfortunately, they live far away, so I don't get to see them often, which I regret. On the other hand, the mother-in-law acts like she's the daughter of the company president, always confident, but her stubbornness and arrogance are clear. Michelle, you're Mike's wife, the president. You should quit your job as a computer instructor and fully support your husband, she'd say, putting a lot of pressure on me. Mike would support me, but she'd still be unhappy. Sometimes I was glad we lived apart. I just wanted a peaceful life with Mike and hopefully children someday. But then Mike's father passed away suddenly from a heart attack. It was a shock for everyone, and Mike and his brother had to figure out what to do with the family company. Mike decided to stay in New York for a while. I went back home and waited for Mike's updates. With the extra responsibilities on both of them, I was worried. After talking with his brother, they decided that Mike would move to the company's main office in New York. His brother became the new president and Mike became the vice president. We looked for a house in New York and found a nice one that was already built. It was a bit far from the train station, but it was in a quiet area, which felt safe. The house had lots of sunlight, so it seemed like we'd have a comfortable life there. Since Mike had to work late because of all the changes at work, I made sure our home was cozy so he could relax and prepared healthy lunches for him. I wanted to do everything I could to support him. And just like that, a month went by. I'm back. I'm starving, Mike said. Thanks for working so hard. I'll make dinner, I replied. Thanks. Hey Michelle, my mom wants to visit this weekend. Is that okay? I was worried that she might be feeling lonely since Mike's dad passed away, so I was glad to hear this. Of course. We still have some things to tidy up, but she's welcome, I said. Thanks. I'll tell her. Oh, maybe I should ask my brother and his wife to join too, Mike suggested. Yeah, that's a great idea, I replied. It might sound strange, but moving here meant I could see Mindy, my sister-in-law, more often, which was a nice surprise. That weekend, we all got together to talk about what had been happening and share memories of my father-in-law. It's sad that Dad's gone, but I didn't want to stay sad forever, so I started a new hobby, my mother-in-law said with a smile. She always looked elegant, wearing beautiful dresses and nice jewelry. Today, she looked stylish with a light purple scarf that stood out. She seemed to have lost some weight, but she was still firm when giving advice to Mike and his brother about the company. But since my father-in-law passed away, I noticed she was being stricter with me. Michelle, we're running out of drinks. Can you go buy some? She asked. Jessica, I can go get them, Mindy offered. Oh, can you? That would be really helpful, she said, sounding more demanding towards me than she did towards Mindy. I thought maybe she was struggling with the loss of her husband, so I decided to let her comments go for a while and just watch. After dinner, Mike drove everyone home, and the night was over. Since then, my mother-in-law started coming to our house a lot. She started criticizing how I kept the house and complaining about Mindy, and she started going through our fridge without asking, which surprised me. Michelle, Mike is so busy right now. You should pay more attention to the meals you make for him. What if he gets sick too? Yes, I'll be more careful. And there's still trash here. Can't you clean up properly? I'm sorry. It kept going like this. It felt like she was just finding things to criticize about me to pass the time. But whenever Mindy came over, she'd leave quickly, saying she had other things to do. She said it wasn't because she didn't like me, but I felt differently. Maybe she found it easier to boss me around, since I hardly ever argued back, than to do the same to Mindy, who always spoke her mind. I thought about getting a job to spend less time at home. But even after I found one, my mother-in-law's harassment got worse. Michelle, we're out of barbecue sauce at our place, so get some while you're out. I brought some leftovers with me, so I'll take them. Her boldness sometimes left me speechless. She could easily afford to buy fancy ingredients from a fancy store. Then something happened. A necklace that was very special to me disappeared. It was a keepsake from my mother, and I always kept it safe on a shelf in my room. The only person who came to mind was my mother-in-law, since she visited often. Even though I didn't want to suspect her, she often looked around our house and probably knew where most things were. Despite searching everywhere, I couldn't find it, so I decided to ask her about it. That's when she exploded with anger, yelling, "You probably lost it yourself. How dare you accuse me? What kind of person are you? I'm sorry, I searched everywhere I could think of, but I couldn't find it. It's a special keepsake from my mother, and it means a lot to me. More than feeling angry about being accused, I was devastated about losing something so precious from my mom, and tears started to fall. I don't care, it's just a necklace. Why don't you just ask Mike to buy you a new one? It's not about getting a new one. I realized she wouldn't understand my feelings. I decided not to talk about it anymore. But then money from my wallet and other things around the house started disappearing. Even though I kept an eye on my mother-in-law, I never saw her take anything. Confused and tired of it all, I talked to Mindy about it. She said my mother-in-law was definitely the main suspect because no one else had access to our home. It made me sad to think that, but there wasn't any solid proof. I couldn't understand why she would do this, especially since she still had lots of money from my father-in-law's inheritance. Seeing how upset I was, Mindy had an idea. Little did I know where it would lead. About 2 weeks after talking to Mindy, I was getting ready for a trip. I'm heading out, Michelle. Just relax and enjoy your time, Mindy said. Take care, I replied. Mike and his brother were going on a business trip to meet with a company from another state. Mindy suggested I take a break too and invited me on a short vacation. I've been feeling really drained lately, so the idea of getting away sounded nice. I packed early and left my travel bag by the door, ready to go. Then the doorbell rang. I wondered who it could be, so I checked the video feed and saw my mother-in-law. But she wasn't alone. She had a bunch of friends with her. Hi, Michelle. I brought some friends. Can you let us in? Opening the door, I saw my mother-in-law and about 7 of her friends, all carrying big bags. Were they planning to stay here? We're staying over tonight. Make us feel comfortable. Excuse me? Didn't I mention it? We're going to see a play nearby tonight, and since it ends late, we decided to stay here, she said casually. This was news to me, especially since my departure time was approaching. Oh, did I inconvenience you? Jessica told me you were okay with it. I hadn't heard anything like that, and it seemed like she was making up excuses. Feeling more and more frustrated, I responded firmly. I'm sorry, but I wasn't told about this, and I already have plans. She looked surprised by my answer. But you'll be back soon, right? We'll just drop our bags and go out for a while. Can you make dinner and set up beds for us? Ignoring my plans, she seemed to think everything was already arranged. I can't. I'm going on a trip. A trip? Who with? With Mindy. Oh, just with Mindy? You can go anytime. We've come all this way just for today. How long are you going to make us wait? She pressed, disregarding my plans. Then, I noticed something glinting around her neck. Wait, that necklace you're wearing. To my astonishment, it was the same necklace that was a precious memento from my mother. Jessica, where did you get that necklace? Why, it's just one of my collections. Is there a problem? She replied with a smug look. That can't be right. That necklace is rare and limited edition. While I was talking to her, Mindy arrived. I was wondering why you didn't show up at our meeting place and didn't contact me. So this is what was happening. I'm sorry I couldn't get in touch, Mindy. Seeing my expression, Mindy instantly knew something was wrong. What's going on? I got upset because the necklace she's wearing is the same one that belonged to my mother, which recently went missing. Of the one you kept in that box. Mindy said it loudly enough for everyone to hear. Suddenly, my mother-in-law, trying to keep it from her friends, whispered to us. Can you two stop this? It's embarrassing. Do you want to accuse me of theft? Yes, I find it suspicious, Mindy answered firmly. Do you have any proof that I stole it? It's embarrassing to have such unreasonable daughters-in-law. Please don't make a scene in front of my friends. With that, she turned back to her friends with a smile. Well, let's go inside, everyone. As she tried to move inside, I remembered something. The initials. My mother's initials are engraved on the necklace. Jessica, can I have a look, please? Mindy quickly went behind her to check. Enough of this. What's your mother's name? It's Kate Young, so the initials should be Ki. There it is, the initials Ki, I said, pointing out the engraving. The friends looked horrified and stepped back. Stop this. I didn't come here for this. Let's go, everyone, my mother-in-law insisted. We're not letting you leave, Mindy said firmly. The friends, sensing the tension, quickly muttered, We're not involved, and hurried towards the subway. Wait, there's been some mistake. My mother-in-law tried to follow her friends, but someone stopped her. What are you doing here? Weren't you supposed to be on a business trip? Standing there was Mike. It turned out his business trip was actually scheduled for the next day. He had deliberately given his mother a false date to investigate her actions. Mindy had told Mike about the missing items from our house after I talked to her. At first, Mike was unsure, but after visiting his childhood home and seeing similar items to ours, he began to suspect theft. However, without evidence, he knew she could easily deny it, so he came up with today's plan. Inviting friends for an overnight stay was unexpected, but he was sure his mother would come if she thought he wasn't home. What are you doing here? Mike demanded. I was just leaving, my mother-in-law said as she tried to go, but I stopped her. Give it back. That necklace isn't yours. It's a keepsake from my parents. Why do you have it, Ma? I demanded. It's not what you think. I found it in my purse. Michelle must have set me up, she claimed, suddenly shifting the blame to me, seemingly fearing she was in trouble. Do you really think such a lie would work? There's no way Michelle would do something like that. First, give the necklace back to Michelle. We'll talk after that, Mike said firmly. Reluctantly, she took off the necklace, threw it on the ground, and tried to run away. Hey, wait. We tried to chase her, but stopped shortly after. We didn't need to anymore. Huh? I was taken aback as 10 police officers stood in front of my mother-in-law. I was unsure about what was happening, just staring at the bizarre scene. Then one of the officers spoke up. We received a report from a local resident. They said someone who seemed to be causing a disturbance here was often seen entering this house when the owners were away. They asked us to come quickly. What are you talking about? I'm the mother of the son living here. Getting the police involved in a family matter? My mother-in-law retorted, looking annoyed. Wait, what do you mean she entered when we weren't home? I never did such a thing, I interjected. I always come when you're home. Did the informant say anything else? When we asked the police, they mentioned that someone had witnessed my mother-in-law sneaking into our backyard, likely using a spare key to get inside. Indeed, we had a spare key hidden beneath a plant pot in the backyard. This realization gave us chills and also explained the missing items. Mike had considered this possibility and was planning to observe her actions while we were out today, but he never expected to find out the truth in this manner. Mom, why were you coming into our house when we weren't home? It's all lies. You're going to believe some unknown person's story, she retorted. But you did have my precious necklace, didn't you? I pressed. I told you I found it in my purse, my mother-in-law insisted. One of the officers stepped in, saying calmly, let's talk about this at the station. But I didn't do anything. Mike, say something, she pleaded. Mom, stop this. I can't understand why you did this, Mike said firmly. Upon hearing her son's words, my mother-in-law collapsed to the ground. But just when it seemed like she had nowhere left to run and was feeling defeated, she suddenly flew into a rage. Because after your father passed away, I felt so lonely, and seeing her always so cheerful, I couldn't stand it. I felt better seeing her troubled. I wanted her to feel the pain I felt, she shouted. Mike was red-faced hearing her irrational reasoning. Mike, wait, let me speak, I said, feeling the need to confront the issue head-on. I stepped in front of an increasingly angry Mike. I understand where you're coming from, Jessica. Perhaps I've been neglectful by always brushing off our talks. However, stealing is a different matter entirely. Did you want to upset me? Don't be ridiculous, she snapped. Did you find joy in pushing someone to their limits with such a twisted and dirty scheme? Did that fill the void of your loneliness? I asked, trying to understand her actions. Shut up. What do you know about me? She snapped back defensively. If you're feeling down, then tell us. We can't read minds, I said, trying to reason with her. Don't make fun of me. Why would I tell you anything, you worthless daughter-in-law? She lashed out. Mom, Michelle's right, Mike intervened firmly. Seeing that the situation wasn't progressing, the police stepped in, suggesting they move to the station. Are you really going to take me in? I can't believe this, she protested. Despite her resistance, given the eyewitness accounts of the unlawful entry and a suspicion of theft from possessing my belongings, the police decided to question my mother-in-law, and so she was promptly arrested on charges of unlawful entry and theft. She continued to protest her innocence, demanding a lawyer and refusing to eat the food provided. During a visit from her father, he expressed his anger and urged her to deeply reflect on her actions. This stern admonition prompted a change in her demeanor as she tearfully apologized. Despite her typically carefree nature, her father's authority seemed to be the only one she wouldn't challenge. He warned her that unless she genuinely reflected on her behavior, she shouldn't expect to have a home to return to. Reluctantly, she appeared to accept the reality of her situation. Perhaps the loss of her husband had left my mother-in-law searching for her place in the world. Were her expensive clothes and jewelry merely a shield to protect herself? I even began to wonder if her differing treatment of me and my sister-in-law was just a facade to conceal her vulnerabilities. However, her excessive desires and inability to control them were a separate issue. It was clear that making wrong judgments had led to this unfortunate incident. I was shocked to see the situation escalate to such a degree, especially realizing that my mother-in-law had been using a spare key to enter our house without our knowledge. It genuinely terrified me to think about the potential dangers of someone entering our home without permission. Later, I discovered that the couple living diagonally across from us had reported her. The wife, who works from home, had noticed my mother-in-law entering our yard suspiciously multiple times and found it concerning. I'm incredibly grateful for their courageous actions. Since then, we've been enjoying a peaceful life. To ensure our safety, we changed our locks and stopped hiding a spare key in the yard. Mike decided to cut ties with his mother and made her promise not to contact us again. He warned of legal action if she attempted to do so. After her release, she returned to her rural childhood home and reportedly adopted a more modest lifestyle. A significant change from her previous lavish ways. Under the watchful eye of her father, she now helps around the house from early morning. I sincerely hope she takes this opportunity to reflect on her past behaviors. Meanwhile, my own father has moved in with us as a precaution against any further unexpected visits from my mother-in-law. He's here to ensure my safety. But there's another reason he's with us. I'm currently expecting our first child. The anticipation of becoming grandparents, coupled with the support of Mike, fills me with a sense of warmth and determination. While material possessions can bring temporary satisfaction, it's the presence of loved ones that truly enriches our lives. As we discuss our living arrangements surrounded by our dear ones, we are committed to preserving the peace and happiness of our daily lives. But, my name's Jennifer, and I'm 32 years old. I work in a busy city called New York, where people believe in working hard to succeed. My husband, Donnie, is 30 and works too. We got married 2 years ago. Donnie might seem a bit unreliable sometimes, but he's actually really kind. He's good at helping out with chores around the house. I'm a career-focused woman. I love my job and feel proud when I do well. In my job, if you work hard, you can move up. But there's a downside. Sometimes they might ask you to move to a different place. And if you want to have a baby, there's no rule about taking time off. Many women quit their jobs when they get married or have kids. I used to think the same way. I wanted to focus on my career and didn't plan on getting married. When Donnie asked me to marry him, I said no at first. I told him, I love my job. I'm in charge of a team now, but I want to go even higher. I can't imagine settling down or having kids. But Donnie understood. He promised we'd share the chores and wouldn't have kids. Eventually, I agreed to marry him because he was so understanding. Both Donnie and I work, so sometimes we don't split the chores exactly as we planned. But we help each other out, and I think we do pretty well. Sometimes my in-laws make annoying comments like, "You should focus more on your home than your job," or, "When are you having kids?" But it's not too bothersome because Donnie always supports me. Living with Donnie has been nice, and I've learned to enjoy being married. Then, one day, my boss, who's the head of our department, called me about a possible move to a different office. He said, "What do you think? You'd work at a branch office for a while, but you'd come back here after 2 years. You'd have a good position there, and if you do well, you'll get promoted when you come back. You might even become the first woman to lead a department. It's a pretty good opportunity, right?" Accepting or refusing this move could decide if I'll get promoted at my job. Everyone who's become a boss or higher has done a move like this. If I say no, I might stay in my current job, but I could also get moved to a less important position. Before I got married, I would have taken this chance right away, but now, being married made me feel hesitant. I told my boss, "Thank you for thinking of me. Personally, I'm interested, but since it involves moving, I want to talk to my husband first. Can I give you an answer after that?" He said, "All right, you're married. You can choose to go alone or move with your family. Talk it over. I'm hoping for a yes." When I got home, I talked to Donnie about it. I've been offered a job transfer. I might have to move to the countryside, but if I do well for 2 years, I can come back here. And if I keep doing well, I could get promoted. I want to take this offer if you're okay with it, Donnie. We can move together, or I can go alone. What do you think? At first, Donnie was surprised, but then he thought about it and said, "If you take this transfer, Jennifer, your dream could come true, right? I can't move with you because I have my job here, but don't worry about me. Go for it." With Donnie's support, I told the company I'd go for the transfer alone and started discussing the details. They agreed to pay for my moving costs and offered some good benefits, like considering my travel days as work days. So I decided to accept the transfer to the branch office. I got the official transfer order and chose to live in a company apartment, which was affordable. On moving day, the movers had already taken my stuff, and Donnie came to say goodbye at the station. "Thanks for seeing me off. I'll keep in touch, and I'll try to come home as much as I can." "Yeah, I'll be waiting. But remember, even though you're working from afar, don't overdo it," Donnie said. "You too," I replied. "It's time. Take care, okay? I'm heading out," Donnie said as he left. And that's how my life as a remote worker began. I planned to come home during holidays and quieter times, but things got rocky at the branch office right after I arrived. "I won't take orders from a woman. How can I trust someone new like her?" one of the local employees complained. I faced resistance from the staff there. They spread rumors about me, didn't listen to my instructions, and even ignored my calls. And then things got worse when a project I was overseeing had a big mistake because one of my team members deliberately kept me out of the loop. The subordinate who was responsible looked really shocked, but as the boss, it was my job to handle it. I had to fix the problem, apologize, and not only get things back on track, but also mend relationships with my team. My boss saw how tough things were for me and gave me some advice. I've been through a transfer too, so I get it. It might not seem fair, but you can't just push your way through. It's important to communicate well, understand others, and build relationships horizontally. So I followed my boss's advice. I spent more time getting to know everyone at the branch and even joined the neighborhood association since the company's housing was part of it. Before I knew it, I was so busy that I couldn't find time for myself, let alone go back home where my husband was waiting. I kept in touch with him, but after a few months of remote work, it got hard to reach him at night. I'm working late every day because work is tough. I get tired and end up falling asleep. As my husband made excuses and I got busier with work, I didn't suspect anything and focused more on my job. Once during a slow work period on a long holiday, I decided to go back home to New York on short notice. But I couldn't reach my husband by phone or text, so I returned from my remote work without telling him. When I opened the door to our home after a long time away, something felt strange. Then a woman I didn't recognize rushed to the door, saying, "Justin, welcome back. If I knew you were coming home early, I would have prepared." We both froze, staring at each other in shock. Finally, the woman spoke up, "Sorry, but who are you?" "And who are you?" "This is my house." "Wait, what?" "I live here." After arguing and getting nowhere, we decided to check the house number outside. To my surprise, it matched the custom nameplate I had ordered. The key works, and the nameplate's right. "This is my house. I'm going in," I insisted. "Wait, what?" "Stop." Ignoring her protests, I pushed past her and entered the house. Inside, everything had changed. The curtains, the furniture, all of it. There was a photo of my husband and the woman at a theme park, mugs I'd never seen before, and unfamiliar toothbrushes and skincare items in the bathroom. The bed linens were different, and the wardrobe held only the woman's clothes. My husband's stuff was hidden away in a back room. As I stood there in shock, I heard the front door open. "I'm home." "Oh, Lola, did you invite a friend over?" "Justin, thank goodness you're back." This woman just barged into our house. The man the woman called Justin was definitely my husband, Donnie. Seeing me, he looked surprised. "What are you doing here?" "Donnie, why is she calling you Justin? Can you explain what's happening?" I asked him. "What do you mean? This is Justin, right?" "Justin." "Well, actually," my husband seemed flustered under our questioning. "Lola, his real name is Donnie. Isn't that what's on your driver's license? And I'm Donnie's wife, Jennifer." "That's not true. He told me he was divorced." "Donnie, you need to explain everything clearly," I insisted. "Jennifer, you were gone for so long, and I was lonely. So I thought I'd try a dating app, and that's where I met Lola," Donnie explained. "So Justin is your fake name on the dating app?" I questioned. "No, it's not like that. I was worried if my real name came out. It might cause problems, so I used a different first name but kept my last name," Donnie clarified. "And why did you lie about being divorced?" I pressed further. Lola's profile said she'd never dated a man before and was serious about finding someone for marriage. It struck a chord with me, so I lied about being divorced to win her over. "We started living together," Donnie admitted. "Why would you do something like that?" I asked, puzzled. At that moment, my husband began justifying his actions defiantly. "It's because you're always away for work. It's natural for a man to want companionship. We've been living separate lives because of your job and the long hours. I just wanted a warm home where my wife would be there with dinner when I got back." I was shocked to hear this, as I always thought my husband understood and supported my career, but that doesn't excuse what you did. What you did was wrong. If you wanted to be with someone else, you should have ended our marriage first. Why didn't you do the right thing? I cared about both of you. I never wanted to leave either of you. After everything you've done, I was bound to find out when I came back. It's unbelievable that you thought you could deceive me like this. Well, it's your fault for not keeping your promise and coming back. If you had, I wouldn't have even thought about cheating. What on earth? I've told you how hard work has been. And he still did this. I yelled, feeling a mix of anger and hurt. Our argument escalated into a shouting match, with the woman my husband cheated with standing there, looking stunned. She realized she'd been tricked by a married man into his mess. So everything was a lie. You played me for a fool. I'm leaving right now, she exclaimed. Lola, wait, it's not what you think, my husband pleaded, but it was too late. My husband tried to stop the other woman from leaving, but she brushed him off, repulsed. Don't touch me with your filthy hands. I can't believe a single word you say, she cursed before storming out, packing her things and leaving for her parents' house. Furious with my husband, I decided to take action against his betrayal. Gathering evidence, I brought it back with me when I returned to work. The first thing I did was hire a detective to look into my husband's mistress. The investigation revealed that she was the daughter of an executive at a company partnered with my husband's workplace. I had a lawyer send proof of the affair to both my husband's home and the other woman's parents. When my husband received the documents, he protested, saying he didn't want a divorce. So I prepared for a tough legal battle, even considering going to court. The other woman's family contacted my lawyer, and we arranged to meet at their office. They apologized to me, and the other woman admitted her wrongdoing. We're truly sorry. Our daughter caused you so much trouble, and we didn't even know about it. She's always been very sheltered and naive about the world. We've been trying to arrange a marriage for her, but she wanted a more free-spirited love. She met your husband without our knowledge and got carried away without knowing who he really was. She thought she found a divorced man on a dating app and wanted to move in with him. We told her to stop seeing him, but she didn't listen. She was so caught up in her fantasies that she ran away from home to be with him. Our daughter was shocked to find out she was the other woman and blames herself. She's getting therapy now. We're willing to pay you $50,000 as a settlement and hope you'll keep this matter private. The other woman and her parents shook my hand firmly. I understand your apology, but I have one condition. I'm preparing for a divorce, but my husband won't agree. If you're willing to cooperate and provide testimony if this goes to trial, then I'll accept the settlement. Okay, we'll cooperate, but we don't want our daughter to have a permanent record of this. Is there any other way we can help punish him? Well, it just so happens that his workplace is our client. In an unexpected turn of events, the woman my husband cheated with and I teamed up. We planned to give him a taste of his own medicine. His workplace was about to face a crisis because he had upset an executive at one of their client companies. And guess who would take the fall? Only my husband. Meanwhile, back at home, his parents were trying to reach out to him, unaware of the chaos. Jennifer isn't answering our calls, and she won't call back either. Is she so caught up in work that she forgot about us? When is she coming back? We miss seeing our grandchild, his mother said. Mom, you don't get it. I cheated on Jennifer while she was away, and now it looks like we're headed for divorce, my husband confessed. His mother replied, that woman who puts work before her husband is to blame. Maybe it's better if you end things with Jennifer and get back together with the woman you cheated with. My in-laws seem to think that the other woman's family had more money than ours, so they sided with my husband and his lover, attacking me relentlessly. They called me repeatedly, but I blocked their calls. Then they started calling me at work. When I refused to talk to them, they showed up at my workplace, causing a scene. Let go of our son. It's because of you being such a career-focused woman that our son cheated. He'd be happier with his lover, so stop interfering, they demanded. What are you even saying? I want to divorce Donnie. He's the one refusing. Plus, the woman he cheated with doesn't want him back. He tricked the daughter of a big-shot executive into dating him, and they're furious. It's going to be a big mess, I explained. Once they realized their son had angered an important client, my in-laws suddenly changed sides and tried to be nice to me. We had no idea it was this serious. We must have misunderstood. We're sorry. Our son messed up, but he feels bad. You'll forgive him, right, Jennifer? They pleaded. I have to decline. You just insulted me, and now you're asking for forgiveness? Please leave, I told them firmly. When they refused to leave, I had security escort them out. Because of the scene they caused, my company decided to sue them for disrupting business. After all the drama, I finally got the compensation from my husband and got the divorce. The other woman's family also demanded compensation for their daughter's suffering and therapy costs. With the loss of his job and having to pay hefty settlements, my husband was now in deep debt. He couldn't afford to quit, and he was trapped. 2 years had passed since my assignment started. When everything settled down, I finished my assignment successfully and was getting ready to go back to the main office. My hard work paid off, and I got promoted to department manager. If I hadn't taken the assignment, I might still be stuck in a loveless marriage. But I realize now that a man like him would have cheated sooner or later, and I would have clashed with his parents anyway. I've learned that I'm better suited for work than family life, and I'm incredibly fulfilled and happy now.